Because I'm picking you don't say, it sounds like a cult you're in.
Yeah, you don't. Because nobody's going to hear that well.
No.
And if a cult is operating well, if it's doing what cults do, people will feel loved. They'll feel like they're in a tight-knit environment. They've got some knowledge that other people don't have. They've got really close relationships with people. They feel like they've got a space where they haven't experienced love like that before. And a great way to recognize cults, and some churches might recognize little bits of themselves in this. Now, that's not to say that all churches who kind of fit this description are cults, but it means that there's some questions worth asking. Things like tightly controlling people's time. And making sure that all of your time is invested in this entity rather than invested in other places. Tightly controlling relationships and often breaking relationships off. So if someone is not within this entity, then that person has a bad influence on you. That person is evil. That person is going to lead you astray. So then tightly controlling those relationships. So controlling time, controlling relationships, setting up big personalities that are really central. And there's a lot of narrative that goes around that. Sometimes this person might be seen as the Messiah. The return of Jesus is probably the most extreme version of that, but centralizing a key personality that it is your job to serve. So controlling time, controlling relationships, and setting up messianic figures in human beings. Those are three hallmarks. And it's sad because the story of God plays out in the whole of creation. It's playing out everywhere all the time with every person. So if all of our time is invested in this entity or this organization to the exclusion of our connection to other people outside of it, then we're missing the story of God playing out everywhere.
It surprises me how people can get involved or caught up in that sort of mentality. But I guess it's subtle and it plays out over a long period of time.
Yeah, it does. It starts with expressions of love. And in Christian circles, it starts with interpretations of Scripture often as well that you haven't heard elsewhere. So you think that you haven't been taught the Bible very well. And then this group comes along and says, hey, this little verse here could possibly mean this, which differs from Orthodox Christianity and what Orthodox Christianity has taught for 2,000 years. And then it just kind of goes in a different direction. We humans have a tendency to love it if we've got a bit of knowledge that we feel nobody else has.
Sure.
The old term for it is Gnosticism. I've got this secret knowledge that nobody else has, and that secret knowledge helps me towards salvation. So then a cult will come along and go, actually, the last 2,000 years, Christendom has got it wrong. Or it's got it wrong for a chunk of time, and we're giving the real interpretation of Scripture. And it feels new, it feels novel, it feels good, and so we tend towards that. So it can start with expressions of love, different interpretations of Scripture that invite us in, and then it just incrementally increases.
And we have had a conversation just a few moments ago about the subtleties, I guess, as to how they operate. But you were also talking just in the break there about money as well.
Yeah, we didn't mention the money, but yes, often there's a lot of money involved, and the encouragement to give well beyond your means in order to receive blessing, but in order to support the institution as well, because the institution is God's mechanism or a person's mechanism for salvation in the world. So give exponentially, which then, of course, reduces your ability to help other people who genuinely have a need, and that mutual help and support that goes on in church environments. So if people are asking for a lot of your money in a way that really does hurt you, some questions need to be asked.